Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Progress Special, where we will be looking ahead at Chapter 130, Dodge, Dip, Duck, Dive, Dodge, and Chapter 131, the 10th anniversary show. Helping us to do that is our very special guest. He is the master of the ups and downs, the new host of Progress, Mr. Simon Miller. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the intro. It's a lot nicer than I usually get on the internet. So we're already off to a good start. But I'm good. It's a pleasure to be here. How are we?
I'm fantastic. We're just so psyched to have you here.
No, it's my pleasure.
I'm doing very well. I don't have as great of an intro as Andy over here, but my name's Jameus. I'm stoked to be able to have the opportunity to interview you today.
No, you're very kind, man. You're too kind. Trust me, I'm a buffoon. I'm an absolute idiot. I will ruin your opinion of me before
I've seen some of your content. I'm well aware.
yeah, exactly. It's true.
Of course. This is the Teen Tides podcast, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net as part of a wide range of fantastic podcasts available on the bodyslam.net channel. And of course, we're here to talk about Progress Chapter 130, but you became the new host after the new management took over. What has that been like?
It's been the way I keep describing it to people is it was the most unexpected thing of 2022. Like I didn't have it on my, I always like to draw up a list of things I'd like to get done and, achieve, etc. And that was not on my list. I didn't know that, Progress was going through a revamp of sorts. I didn't know there was a change of management. So yeah, when I did get the call and somebody asked me to do it, I mean, you're excited, you're pumped because, any kind of British wrestling fan is well aware of Progress's place in the industry. But then there is a little bit of trepidation is probably not the right word, but a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of apprehension because you understand what has come before and that the group that had, built Progress from the ground up, had a very, very good relationship with the fans, or at least they were just around for ages. They all had their roles, which they did well. So you're like, well, man, I hope people don't get mad at me. Like, who's this idiot? Because obviously, I'm a very different cup of tea to what had come before. But so far, everyone has been really nice. I know that I've certainly enjoyed myself at every single show. So yeah, fingers crossed we can continue to define whatever this era of Progress is and turn it into something. I mean, never forgetting what the core values were, but also trying to, turn it into something unique and new.
Yeah, you've mentioned that you were a little apprehensive at times with the move to Progress. What is there any difference between working under Progress versus shows you may have hosted in the past that were more of your personal project?
I think so. I think it was just because obviously Jim Smallman had done an awesome job as the host for a long old time, and he is, I'm 99% sure, he's basically in his other life was a stand-up comic, so he can go in there and he can offer something very, very unique and very, very specific. Like I say, he did very, very well. So, I mean, most of the other hosting stuff that I've done a few wrestling things, but most of the other hosting work that I had done was sort of for my business side of life. So a lot of conferences with video games and such. But obviously, I'm quite knee deep in wrestling all these days. So I thought to myself, well, I think it's hopefully something that I can, bring my own take to the table. But it's just the nature of the beast, right? Some people are just not going to like change. And I can totally understand that. You get yourself into a groove, you get yourself into a routine, and all of a sudden there's some bald bloke welcoming you to Progress. But the way I've always looked at it is that I'm genuinely honored to be offered the opportunity. And if people like me, obviously that rocks. But if people hate me, that's fine too. Like, you cannot ever expect to be enjoyed by everybody. So I think as long as you take the criticism, the constructive kind, and use it to try and be better at what you're doing, then it's all good. It's a great consensus to get that kind of feedback. And you just ignore the people that tell you to die. you just ignore those people and you move on to something else.
You've mentioned that the previous guy was a stand-up comic, of course. That's part of public speaking, hosting, is being able to relate to a crowd, being able to pivot should the crowd not react to something. Charm and comfortability is key. It's integral to any public speaking, how long did it take you to get comfortable in front of a new audience?
Well, I mean, I didn't have any nerves about that. Like, I had nerves about how they're going to react to me. And yeah, I always have nerves about whether I'm going to do a good job. That's just my nature. But yeah, I started hosting stuff sort of like 10 years ago. And from the first time I've done it until today, I absolutely love it. I love the idea of there's no net, right? When you do hosting, if you're live, you know, if something goes wrong, well, you better fix it.
We're live, pal.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I love all that. And I think it's, you know, it's especially in front of a wrestling crowd who are designed to chant things. You know, if you're hosting, I don't know, a presentation at the Eurogamer Expo, which I've done time and time again. If you screw up, you may get a few giggles, but no one's going to go, you know, you screwed up, you moron. Whereas a wrestling show, they may do that. But I like that. I like that kind of feedback. I like that kind of response. And, you know, if you're not quick on your feet, it certainly will teach you how to be quick on your feet. So yeah, I like the buzz, and I like the I just like how it feels. I enjoy stepping out my comfort zone too. So yeah, we've had a few hecklers, and I've enjoyed my back and forth with them. You know, I just think it's just fun, and it's just a laugh. And you know, to be involved with Progress on any level would always been something I would have wanted to do. So you know, it's just cool to get my foot in the door.
Now, Progress has always been fan reactive with the former host. Was that something that was encouraged? You were mentioning about some of the chants that the UK crowd do have. We won't mention the one that they do chant when you do mess up. But what's it like to actually get some of those chants live at that Progress audience?
Oh, I know, it's great. Like in my first show, I tripped over the ropes. Like I didn't face plant, thank goodness, but I did that little trip thing, and it was funny. And they joined in. And if anything, I think as long as you take it in the right vein, I think that just it re-emphasizes the relationship. I kind of feel like that's my job, right? My job is not just to G everybody up and give people the information, but there should be some kind of a connection there. You know, it's like, I'm one of you. I just happen to be doing this, and we're going to have fun for the next 3-4 hours, whatever it may be. And it doesn't need to go further than that. And that also means, you know, they've been very kind to do some nice chants. But then if they want to do some, I won't even call them bad chants, but just, you know, more jovial chants, then, you know, you need all of that. I think it makes for a good atmosphere. And I think it makes for an interactive show, which is what wrestling is all about. Like, how bad would it be if you did trip up and nobody made a noise? You know, they don't even care. They're not even watching. So yeah, I definitely want to keep that up. I think I don't want to do anything that Jim used to do, because I think that would be an insult to him. But one thing I absolutely want to keep alive is, like I said, that connection, that relationship with the fans, because Progress was always built off of that. And then some people will debate it. That's fine. You know, this life is all about conversations. But I think no matter what happened, there was always a dialogue between the fans and the people running it, and vice versa. So if I can serve as some sort of conduit between all that, then I think that's part of my job. And I'm more than happy to do it.
Excellent. So let's talk about the upcoming show, Chapter 130, Dodge, Dip, Duck, Dive, Dodge, main event. Well, actually, let's talk about Progress names. How essential has it been, do you think, to actually keep the original ethos about strange names for shows?
Isn't that a dodgeball reference, like from the movie Dodgeball?
It is. Yes. And I think, given how some people reacted to it, I haven't checked this, but I think it may be in the wrong order. And some people are really, I know that's true, but there's definitely some people online that are mad about it. But I'm going to guess that's probably intentional if that is the case.
Yeah.
I believe the order is dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Yeah. And I can't even remember which way around it is this time. But no, I like the daft names. I think it maintains that sense of fun, right? Which is what, let's never forget, that's all you need at a wrestling show. Doesn't matter what else happens, you go there to have fun. And I think the names kind of back that up. And I need to get this one down. I'm not going to lie. I haven't learned the order of this one yet. I keep getting it wrong. So I've got 3 days or whatever it is to get that down, but I will. Well, I haven't screwed up just yet. I will eventually, of course, but no, I love all of that. They should never change that. And if they ever thought about it, I'd absolutely would be advocating to not do it, because yeah, like we had a Ralph Wiggum reference like last month, and it was the greatest thing ever. I got to make Ralph Wiggum jokes the entire night. Like, I need this. I need that kind of thing in my life.
You had a Ralph Wiggum chant, and something you told your father you would get.
That's right. He didn't believe me. I told him. He didn't really care either. But that's not the point. We still had that conversation. So yeah, they're great, and I love. And honestly, it's the same. it's the same backstage. I'll be the first to admit that I was worried to put the right word, but apprehensive again, that maybe there was going to be clicks, that maybe there was going to be sort of, because Progress has been going a long time, but it wasn't that way at all. Like that kind of sort of, tongue-in-cheek nature is absolutely represented backstage as well, which makes it very warm, very cool environment. And you just want to make sure you bring all that and take it out in front of the ring. And I think even if you've never seen a Progress show before, if you see some dumb name, you're probably going to go, well, at least if they're going to have fun, I'll probably have fun as well.
Yeah, that's something that's big in the independent wrestling in general, is have fun with the names. I know GCW in the States has a lot of very peculiar names, to say the least, and it gives the shows a lot more character. And Progress has always done that, and it's fun to try and figure out what the next name is going to be. It's just something to give the show a more personality. Yep. And I think it's great. And I think that's what independent wrestling should be. It doesn't need to be serious all the time.
No, it doesn't. And sometimes I think people assume that it is, and it's not. But you can have both. That's the that's the coolest thing. You can have one match that is, whatever you want to call it, super serious, and then you can have another match where, I don't know, somebody pretends to whip somebody with a fake whip. Like, this is all, you can do whatever you want in wrestling. So that's why I love it.
You can be Shakara.
Yeah, exactly, right? Or DDT, which is secretly the greatest promotion on planet Earth. So, I love all of it.
Wrestling's for everybody, man, and I love that. I love that independent wrestling has started to come back to, let's have a more balanced, unconventional card as opposed to scientific man.
Yeah. And you need that, but you got to have it the other way. You just do. Otherwise, the crowd's going to get worn out, because you always want to have something different.
Okay, so let's get a little serious now and talk about the main event, which is Cara Noir versus Jonathan Gresham, ROH World Champion versus the Progress World Champion. Both titles are on the line. Is this one of the biggest matches in British wrestling history?
Well, I mean, I think so. And as people will go, oh, you're biased. Of course you're going to say that. But I think you can look at it two ways. A, if you have any kind of reputable championship versus reputable championship, I think it has to go into that category. Or at least where we are now, it should go into it certainly could be category, right? Ring of Honor belt's been around for ages. Progress belt's been around for ages. And, Cara Noir has held that thing for, 750 plus days, whatever the hell it is. And, Jonathan Gresham, I think, has made especially this year, has made a deliberate point to go every single place he possibly can to defend the thing, in order to remind everyone, okay, Ring of Honor may be in a state of flux up until recently, but this championship means something to me. And I'm going to, like I say, go around and remind everybody of that. But I think the reason why it carries such weight is because either Gresham is going to add to that with another championship, which again, certainly here in the UK means a lot, or Cara is going to become the Ring of Honor champion, which I believe is a super big deal and something that he's absolutely deserving. Well, they're both deserving, no matter which way it goes. So, people like to, I think you can look at it two ways. Like, A, the whole idea of wrestling is to promote. So I do think, when you get to the main event, you should be shouting, the whole belief that you have in it, hence why it's the main event to begin with. But I think when you actually start breaking it down sort of piece by piece, how can you not say that, it's not an absolutely incredible match? I would suffice to say that anyone that doesn't believe in it hasn't seen Jonathan Gresham up close and personal, and hasn't seen Cara up close and personal either. But hopefully they will see this match, and the light bulb will go off in their head, because, I've been lucky enough to see all of the stuff they've done in Progress since the return. And it's quite frankly, as a man that's a wrestler himself, is awe-inspiring. It's motivating. It's worrying, because you think, man, I'm not that good. So it's all these things wrapped up into one. And what I especially like about it is that I can't call it. I can see it going. I can see it going either way. And I think no matter who does win, it opens up this incredible path about, well, what happens next? Do they keep the belts for a long time? Do they lose it? So on and so forth. So it absolutely, it just prepares everything for a fascinating story. And as we all know, boring, wrestling's all about stories. But it's true, and I think this sets it up for a good one.
Cara Noir would become the first ROH British World Champion. I know we've had pure champions, but I don't think McGuinness ever won the top belt. Jameis, you're the ROH.
So, first off, I want to say that I agree that the Jonathan Gresham and Progress is a big deal. I believe he worked Dean Allmark recently.
Yes.
At the London show. That's correct. Otherwise, we've never really seen the Ring of Honor World Championship taken overseas like this. He's been working WXW. In the States, he's been working Terminus. Which is his product to begin with. He's been working a lot of different promotions, which I think is great. It's a great way to keep Ring of Honor's name during this. What's the word I'm looking for?
Hiatus.
Hiatus is a good word to use during their hiatus before they get back to television under the new deal. I don't think we've had a British world champion because McGuinness never won it.
No, he had
McGuinness challenged Brian for it Unified to unify the pure championship with the world championship. But Brian Danielson won that match.
That's what I thought.
So he would be the first British world champion, I believe.
Which is a big deal,
Oh,
right?
Nigel did win it. Nigel won it at, I believe he beat Takeshi Morishima for it. Undeniable.
Well, if you're going to beat someone for it, one of the best is the way to do it.
The one who lost to Jerry Lynn for the belt. So Nigel did win it. He won it one time.
Which it still goes to show, though. I mean, actually, like I my Ring of Honor historical content. I was so young. It's not the greatest. It's not the greatest, but I still think it goes to show. One British winner in 30 years or whatever it's been, 20 years. It changes and it opens the door as well. Plus, it asks questions now that Tony Khan has bought, Ring of Honor. What does it mean? What does it mean for that? You have all these sort of little plot points you can go to, and that's why I'm almost more intrigued to see what happens from Monday onwards after the fact than I am on Sunday, because and where do we go next? How does it affect other people that are waiting for championships and so on and so on?
And the interesting thing to think about is Nigel was already established as an independent wrestler in the States.
Yep.
In 2007. Car Noir is not established in the States. So it would be the first time the Ring of Honor World Championship was brought directly to the British scene, even though a British wrestler has held it.
Yeah.
He didn't bring it to the scene with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, Car Noir gets a few opportunities in America. That explodes, and then again, you're at somewhere new. So there's loads of stuff,
and that gets eyes off Progress as well, because that's their champion.
That exactly, and I think that's why it's cool, right? It's just, it's excellent when independent promotions, if we can even call Ring of Honor that anymore, but when these sort of exterior promotions can work together, because as we've seen, especially over the last 2 years, that just helps everybody.
Yeah. And then, of course, on the 25th anniversary, that's on the 10th anniversary on the 25th of March.
Yeah.
I told you I'd do that, didn't I, Jameis? It is Cara Noir versus Ilya Dragunov, the NXT UK champion. So it could be the NXT UK champion versus the possible ROH and Progress World champion with three.
Absolutely good.
Absolutely crazy. First time in history, I think. So, yeah, absolutely amazing. Let's talk. Oh, sorry, go.
Like I said, that feud's got mad history too. Like I was there in Manchester when Dragunov turned up, and it's just awesome. Like it was great. The reaction, the way people on the online reacted to it too. It felt like a big deal just from a stare down, and the fact that those relationships are still there where NXT UK guys can come in. I think it creates a cool atmosphere in the sense you never know what's going to happen, and I think we'd all be nuts to think that isn't going to happen again, right? So it's why you should come to a Progress show, because there's going to be lots of surprises.
Oh, you've muted yourself, Jameis.
That brings up my next question for you, Simon. Obviously, Ilya Dragunov is much bigger now than his first run with Progress, seeing as NXT UK is featured on the WWE Network. But so now is Progress, which, how does it feel to be featured going forward on a platform for you, such as the WWE Network or in the States, Peacock?
I mean, it's ridiculous to be quite frank with you. It's we all have sort of tent poles that we try and aim for. So I mean, it's not exactly the way that I thought I'd end up in my dreams, but it still counts, right? It's still so cool, especially
100%.
when I use that WWE Network, multiple times a week, be it with my my What Culture stuff or just watching whatever. And so to know that there's now a section on there where not only, will I be featured, but when you get the breakdowns of the show, it says Simon Miller welcomes everyone to Progress. And then you get people on the internet sending you screenshots of it, which is always very, very nice and always like a warm pat on the back. So yeah, it's one of those cool things that nobody will ever, even if it all goes bad tomorrow, that will always, I got onto the I told him, I said I'd make it happen and I got onto the network. So yeah, I mean, it's just, as a fan and as, I guess it is the number one, wrestling streaming service there is. It's you can't look past stuff like that, and you've just got to enjoy it for what it is, and I absolutely do.
Do you enjoy watching yourself back?
No.
I feel that.
Don't get me wrong. So I haven't been able to watch. I've watched the Progress shows back, but I may jump over my sections. And when my girlfriend wanted to watch it, I just left the room. I look, be it this or whatever else I do in my life, I struggle a little bit watching myself back. I will force myself to at times because that's the only way that you can get better, and I will do it with the Progress stuff as well. But yeah, I'm not good at that at all. In fact, I suck at it.
You may be able to relate to this, but when I do an interview and I'm the only person on the interview, like doing the interview, and I have to go back and edit it, stuff that should take me 5 minutes to edit will take me 2 weeks because I dread listening to myself, which is why Andy's gonna edit this one.
Honestly, as a man who has done a lot of videos on YouTube, you have to almost disconnect yourself from the person you're editing and be like, that's not me. That's somebody else. And it can be hard. Like, it can be really hard. I don't want to put that out, be it because you think you look stupid or you said something stupid. Be like, I got to, because it's part of my job. But, at the end of the day, it gives you a stronger backbone. Like, my skin these days is far thicker than it was, 5-10 years ago. But I'll always watch it back because, again, that's the only way you can improve. But yeah, it's not high on my list of things to do.
I must admit, I did at first. I hate watching myself back, but not so bad now.
That's good. That's good.
Now, one of the most exciting matchups for Chapter 130 is huge 8-man tag. You mentioned the first team that I'm going to say as the future of British wrestling: Mr. Callum Newman, Just Joe Lando, Maverick Mayhew, and Danny Black versus Malik, Warren Banks, the next number one contender for the Progress Championship, and Lycos Jim. How crazy is that match going to be?
It's going to be ridiculous. It'll probably open the show, I imagine. I have no idea. I don't know what the order is, but I think it's going to be one, you come out, guns are blazing, and, the 4 rookies, I guess we'll call them, they all had that match at the last show, and it was so good, it got a standing ovation at the end. Like, everybody stood up and cheered it because it was like, there's like 19-year-olds in there, and they're flying around the ring. Like, it really, really was something special. So to go up against, I think this is kind of fair. Sort of 4 dudes that were, a few years ago, but were kind of in that position too, and now have established themselves on the British scene. I think is cool. It's like, we're going full circle again. And I'm sure in another 3-4 years, it will be Danny Black's team on one side, and they'll be taking on the new guys, and that will be awesome as well. But yeah, I have taken a Warren Banks spear. And I can tell you it's horrible. It absolutely sucks. So you have to work that into the mix. Obviously, Costa will be there with Malik. Lycos Gyms are nuts. They're just crazy people. Even backstage, they're crazy people. So I think it's just going to be one of these awesome matches where you could probably take any 10 seconds and it's going to make a great gift for Twitter. And again, I'm so lucky the fact that I get to stand wherever the hell I want. Like if I want, I can be as close to that ring as possible. And yeah, I'm excited for that one. I think if you're into what we have determined to be modern independent wrestling, this one will tick every single box.
Another match that probably should as well is the tag team championships are on the line. New champions at the moment, Smoking Aces. They've been on a run. They finally regained the belts that they never lost from Lycos Gym. And they're taking on the hard-hitting and athletic team of Man Like Doris and Dan Maloney.
I mean, again, I remember when we were at that Manchester show, I remember the Smoking Aces throwing themselves off the balcony. And I was literally right under that balcony. And I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I mean, it was truly absurd. But no, they're on a tear right now as well. Like, I mean, their match against Sunshine Machine was awesome. And against Lycos Gym too, which was that one, was equally as good. So I think that's, if you are coming to each and every single show, I think you're kind of seeing that arc and you're seeing that rise of certain people, and they'd absolutely be two of them. And then again, on the other side, I got to give a shout out to my man like Doris as well. Like, I have been, I mean, probably like 2018 since I first saw him when he was on a Defiant show. And the man puts in the hours, he puts in the time. He's got what I consider to be the best 450 in all of wrestling, which I tell him constantly. And again, it's the same for all four guys. Like, they will not allow that to be anything but what you think it should be. Like, I think you'd be more surprised if it came off. You'd be like, yeah, it was all right. Like, I think that would be almost a surprise to most people. And it also just doubles down on how good the tag team scene is in progress right now. Like, there are so many good tag teams. And no matter what happens here, there's going to be another challenger, there's going to be another challenger, and new teams will keep coming. And there'll be brand new teams as well. Like, the Progress roster, the thing that I really enjoy about it the most is that it's flexible. And there are guys out there doing great work across all of British wrestling that, will know when we get to this stage, we're likely going to bring you in. That not only gives them a new platform as well, but hopefully it allows sort of fans to recognize them and vice versa. They can go watch them, when they're in their hometowns, etc., which is also good for British wrestling. So again, you're creating this ecosystem. And that's why tag team wrestling is so important. I mean, because it's a numbers game. You do a singles match, you have 2 people. You do a tag team match, you have 4. And it's just a great way to, like I say, showcase the just amazing, guys and girls that are doing it every single week.
I love the difference between a tag team match versus a singles match, because you can do so much more within the confines of a tag team match. The psychology is so different.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. I'm glad that independents such as Progress are kind of bringing back the art where the mainstream has left it behind a little bit. And by mainstream, I'm talking
Yeah, we know.
Well, I think like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you need to build your company on the morals and the beliefs that you have. And, WWE was the sole main player for 20 years or whatever it was. And, that they were just more of they're a singles territory, as people would say. And it's fine.
But
like,
But even then, the territory back in the 80s, the undercard was filled with phenomenal tag teams, and the house business would rely on the Bulldogs versus Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake, or the Bulldogs versus the Hearts. And then in the early 2000s, it was the Hardys and Edge and Christian.
No,
I don't know where it went south, but
I just think there was a bigger and bigger move to sort of shining a light on the single star. But even then, throughout that, we still got some incredible teams. Like, you got the New Day, you got the Revival, obviously FTR now in AEW. I mean, the Wyatts at one time are on fire. The Bludgeon Brothers, which I know are just the Wyatts
had a fun run.
Yeah, but so I just think that I think now it's quite different, especially when you go to an independent show. I think you expect to have an eclectic mix of talent. I almost think it works better because it means, if you are a WWE fan, cool, you get your WWE fix, but it hopefully means when you come to a Progress show for the first time, you're like, oh man, this is giving me something different. And you have to be different. Like, that's the thing. If you're just offering what everybody else is offering, why come? You don't need to. You can just stick to one single product. And to go back to what we said earlier, you can literally do anything in wrestling. Like, if we were going to have a triple threat match and we wanted it to end with somebody coming out with a wheelbarrow, as long as we got a wheelbarrow and we all agree, we'll do it. Like, nobody will stop us. And it's that kind of creativity, which I think is, it's what makes wrestling so cool. So however we can utilize that, we need to do it.
One thing I agree. I think cards need to be a different style every match. If I see, for example, if I see a guy work the arm, I don't want to see another match on the show work the arm.
Yeah, no, I think it's
I
important.
want to see a different story each time out. And some styles may not be my cup of tea, but it's somebody else's cup of tea.
Yep.
And have something for everybody is important to the show. And you can do anything. Like you use a wheelbarrow example. There are companies that have used Cracker Barrel.
Yeah. Yep. No, totally.
Like, you can do anything in wrestling. It's very creative. It's a creative business. Whatever your mind can do or can think up, if you can physically do it, you do it.
Yep.
And Progress is great at that. Carl Noir is not a traditional professional wrestler, but that's what makes him great. Yeah. I see him. I see something different. I see his presentation. The presentation of his character is phenomenal, and I'm interested.
Yeah.
The moment I see him.
Yeah. You see that entrance, and you're like, who is that guy? Which is half the battle.
One of the most creative guys right now on the Progress roster. He's going to be involved at Chapter 130 in another tag match, which will be completely different, as we just mentioned, is Mr. Charles Crowley. He'll be teaming with Elijah to face the Northwest Strong team of Chris Ridgway and Luke Jacobs, who just like to batter people. They don't really mind who it is. They just want to, even themselves sometimes. What have you made of Northwest Strong and Charles Crowley in Progress so far?
Oh man, I mean, Northwest Strong are just ridiculous. Like, again, if you are into Go Strong Style or legitimacy, all you have to do is watch those two guys walk out. You're like, man, they're gonna kick somebody's ass. And they do. And they kick stuff, even their facial expression, just like, man, I don't want to give you nothing. And that is cool, right? It's like two boxers walk into the ring. They won't give anything away. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of them. And the Chris Ridgway, well, actually both matches, the Chris Ridgway Cara Noir match from a few months ago was absolute fire. And then obviously Luke took on Spike Trevay in the it was a hardcore match, whatever the rules were. I mean, that was the pile driver off the apron through tables. So again, both guys absolutely give it. And they're like, Charles Crowley and Elijah kind of, again, tying into things we've talked about, are your more story-based team, I suppose. Are they friends? Are they not friends? How did they become friends to begin with? Obviously, Crowley is, again, what we've talked about, not necessarily who you would have associated with Progress in years gone by, but an absolutely great fit. And that's the same for Elijah as well. And it just makes their team far more interesting than if it was just another team, right? It gives that kind of a spin. And, Crowley's done great, since he came in on commentary. Now he's in the ring. The match, the three-way that he had at the last show was absolutely brilliant. Same with Elijah, same with all the guys. So it's another one that just has a slightly different edge to it, because obviously we've seen a tag team match, but now we're going to have another one. And we're going to, it really is, it's kind of weird. Like, Crowley's on one side, and then you've got Northwest Strong on the other, and Elijah somewhere in the middle. Because, man, he can go. Like, he can kick your ass. And Crowley can kick your ass too, but he'll also run around with the talking monkey. So it's kind of like this balance going on, but that's why I like it. It's, it's hard hitting stuff with a bunch of entertainment thrown in there.
And if that's what wrestling should be, like, for example, you gave the one team is more story based, but you mesh that with their opponents, and it creates a completely different story than every other match that they do.
Yeah.
There's contrast of styles, of course, that's always great, but contrast in stories opens up a world of opportunity, and that's what Progress has been doing very good at.
And you got to have, you got to have cojones to get in the ring with Northwest Strong. Like, they're intimidating. Just saying hello, like just saying hello. You're like, oh man, don't beat me up or nothing. So yeah, they're always good.
So we got another Northwest Strong member in action, Rio, one of the newer members of Northwest Strong, and a real clash of styles. It was originally going to be against Kanji, but it's now Lizzie Evo taking in the replacement. And as you just mentioned, what a clash of styles, Lizzie Evo and Rio.
Oh, I love Rio.
I mean, again,
sorry,
and she's coming off. I was gonna say, she's coming off. Didn't win the Progress title after, trying to up in Manchester. But it's like you say, once again, we've come to the same kind of thing that we keep going on about. We have two people that will offer you something utterly different to what you just saw, and the winner will then have, bragging rights depending on. I'm trying to walk on a tightrope here. Bragging rights about what could potentially, happen down the line, especially with Giselle Shaw as she moves to Impact and does Progress at the same time. So there's so many different ways that you can spin it. Especially obviously with the last minute replacement of Lizzie Evo coming in. And again, it's just so cool because I remember being on a show with Lizzie. I mean, it was pre-pandemic, so it was a long old while ago. And if you watch where she was then to where she is now, she's grown, she's improved, she's evolved. And that's the same for Rio as well. My word, this year especially, she's been absolutely on fire. So, if you want to sit there and you can create your own stories in your head and kind of pitch this as and I don't want to say up and comer because they're both already established, but within the worlds of Progress, like whoever comes out the end of this one is going to be in a great position to then take a next step up. You absolutely can. And you don't know what's going to happen sort of from bell to bell either. So it will keep you on your toes. But ultimately, much like I would probably guarantee with any Progress match, especially from what I've seen firsthand, you will be, you'll get decent wrestling at the very least. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get, frankly, brilliant wrestling.
Another thing Progress has always been well known for is bringing in that top independent talent from around the world. And we have that once again with 2 of the best in America right now. Trish Adora making her debut and Holly Dead returning. And they're taking on the formidable team, Mercedes Blaze and Tonga.
And I'm massively interested in this one because obviously in the Thunder Bastard that went down on the last show, Mercedes and Tonga just beat everybody up. Just kicked everybody's ass and then they left. So now, are we going to get people coming in to get their revenge? Are they going to do it again? And this is what I mean. Like, you can come and see any show and you can pick up the stories relatively easily, or you can ask somebody around you. But I think the regulars at the moment, when it comes to those two, they've seen them kind of, come together as a team, and they know when they come out, we don't know what to expect from these people, which adds in the suspense that you want. But I mean, and who doesn't want to see debuts from America? I don't even care. I don't even care who it is. Like there was for a while, not by and large, but there was sort of, we need to bring imports in. No, you need to bring imports in, but you just need to make sure that you mix it with the British talent that you already have. Because once again, if you bring in somebody from overseas, you may bring in some people that will exclusively watch them. And then they may see some new people and vice versa. Oh, who's Holiday? Oh my gosh, it just opened this whole new world for me. Like you always need to be nodding and winking and nudging to other promotions. Because again, it just creates this really cool circle where even if Progress isn't running a show, you can watch another show featuring one of your favorites. And when it comes to Progress, you know more about them, which means you're going to be more invested. And investment in wrestling is probably the most important thing. If you care about someone, you actually don't care what they do because you are emotionally with them regardless.
And Trish Adora is a great fit for Progress. She's been one of the best independent wrestlers during the pandemic in terms of rising her stock from where she was before to now. Like she's done a lot with the Pan-African Diaspora Championship, which is now a recognized Pro Wrestling Illustrated World Championship just because of the work she's put in.
Yeah. And I it's one of those ones where you would imagine she comes in, showcases this, and then probably comes back. You'd be more shocked if that didn't happen, which once again just expands the roster. And I think the more people, I don't want to compare promotions too much, but I do think it's something that AEW does very well, right? You always want there to be multiple levels where people vanish, but people come in, and you never actually miss anybody because there's always someone of a similar level to be able to do that. And Trish Adora is a great example of it. She just needs a bit more exposure in the UK for the more casual fan. But as soon as they see her, they'll be like, I'm absolutely in.
Indeed. And then the final match, another debut, Adam Maxted, in-ring debut, as he made his debut at the last show, jumping G Money, hard-hitting, athletic. This should be a great match.
I mean, that's all you need to say about it. They got beef. Maxted kicked him in the back of the head when he wasn't looking. G Money's on a tear. G Money wants to get on strong style. Probably needs to win this to get into it. But I bet Adam Maxted again, first proper match in Progress. That's all you need. It's literally all you need. You can tell that story in 8 seconds and somebody can enjoy it. And, if you've been watching Maxted's work anywhere, the dude is on fire. Same with Gene Money. He just totally gets it. I mean, I don't like saying this because I think you can argue it for all of them, but I'm very, very excited to see what they're going to do with this one. And I imagine there's probably going to be a few twists and turns, but I won't say anything else because I get in trouble.
Yes, we don't want to get you in trouble. It just sounds like it's going to be an amazing show. There are tickets still available, a few tickets left. People are able to get those tickets at progresstickets.com. So if you're in the area, you got a free time, make sure you get down to chapter 130. It's going to be incredible. Sets up so much for that 10th anniversary show, just 5 days later on the 25th anniversary. Sell it to us one last time.
Yeah, I mean, you've done it. Absolutely. Come down Sunday, Electric Ballroom. Come down Friday to the Garage. And I guarantee you, I mean, only come to one show, of course, if that's all you want to do. But if you are able to come to both, I guarantee you that not only will you walk away a fan of Progress Wrestling, but you'll be pumped for whatever is going on next. And even if you can't make it to the show, of course, there's Progress on Demand, or there's the WWE Network or Peacock if you're in America and you absolutely can't get over to these shows. And if you really, really want a stupid reason to watch, is that you'll get a lot of me getting in the ring and just marking out over wrestling. Like, if that's what you want to see, a bald dude just going, oh man, it's a really good wrestling match. You will get that. Again, it's a low bar, but this is what I'm telling you. You get a little bit of something of everything when it comes to wrestling, even fans being allowed in the ring with a microphone, which is me. You don't get to do that. Some people do try and get in the ring. Never works out well. Stop. But absolutely, it'd be great to see people on Sunday and Friday and all the other shows we've got, in the year. And it's not just London. We're going to be here, there, and everywhere, going up and down the country too. So if we are near you, stop on by. And I guarantee you a good time. And if I'm wrong, you can tweet me and we'll make up somehow.
Indeed.
One thing I want to point out. You mentioned that if come to one show if you only want to come to one. I think it should be contingent that you come to the first show, because after that first show, you're going to want to go to both.
Exactly. So come Sunday, and then you're going to want to come on Friday. You just will. I know it. I feel the atmosphere. I feel the crowd. And it's such a, it's a good bunch of people. You know what I mean? That's the coolest thing about it. And I had my own sort of worries before I went out there for the first time. I was like, oh man, sometimes independent crowds can be quite hostile, but it's not like that at all. Like, it's a real welcoming group of people that just want to have a good time. And when you can vibe off that, it spreads and everyone starts having a good time.
Indeed. And this is the start of what is an historic week, really, for Progress. Huge main event, first ever all-women's show, first ever all-BAME show, and then, of course, the 25th anniversary. So it's 4 shows that you got to get yourselves over to go see.
That's true. So, absolutely. In fact, and the other 2 shows are massively important too. It's so representation and inclusivity is paramount, especially in 2022. And hopefully we get to a point where we don't even need to have shows like this, because everybody is well catered for on your more general events. But for now, I couldn't be more behind it if I tried.
Right. I think with that said, we might as well wrap up. Jameis, plug the Body Slam YouTube podcasts.
Well, since we've mentioned Ring of Honor quite a bit, and a reminder, you can watch Jonathan Gresham defend the Ring of Honor World Championship against Car Noir coming up. We recently had an interview with former Ring of Honor owner and ambassador. Well, as far as I know, he's still the ambassador, Kerry Silken, on our new Code of Honor podcast with Kylie Fuller and Kyle Sparks, produced by yours truly. On other things we have, Game Changer Weekly, hosted by Cassidy Haynes and myself, where we go over everything on Game Changer Wrestling. We have Tea and Tights, Andy, you, and our boy Dan, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. That's why I'm here on short notice. So we have quite a bit of content. We recently brought in couple new guys. We have new shows coming up. The Jabronis podcast is big on our YouTube. We have an eclectic range of YouTube content, so make sure to subscribe. Watch all of our videos. Bad Blood is great with our post shows if you want post shows for any of the weekly routine. And of course, read our content too. I'm a writer and editor here at Body Slam. All of our writers are very good. A lot of really good written content. Make sure to read our content. Follow us on Twitter, Body Slam Net, Instagram too, although I don't really know how we market articles on Instagram.
Okay.
You can follow me at the Jameus for anybody who wants random thoughts about random things or pictures of my pets.
Sold.
And for all the people wanting all the latest British wrestling news, of course, you can check the Tea and Tights podcast each and every week with our Brit Rest Roundup, as well as just following myself, where I'll be writing lead British wrestling stories for bodyslam.net.
And hit your wonderful newsletter. We can't forget the newsletter.
British Wrestling
Newsletter.
Newsletter.
It every
Yes.
week.
Every week, yeah. And the British Wrestling Newsletter on bodyslam.net. We thank you so much for joining us today. And just remember one thing, folks, don't feed the trolls.